like a craft beer through a pint glass. These are the gays of our lives. A show where Lisa and Avery get out their gay decoder rings to decipher the gay alphabet and bridge the gap between the older and younger LGBTQ community and everyone fucking else. And now here are your hosts, Lisa and Avery. Don't blame them.
Hey guys, it's Sears.
And Avery.
And today on The Gays of Our Lives, we have this adorable family.
We have Kendall, Ellen, and their son, Kyler.
Daughter.
God damn it, why am I here?
Everyone thinks she's a boy. It's okay.
No, okay, so the problem is I only know one other Kyler, and it's a guy, and he's dating a girl named Skylar, and it's like a whole thing. And then, like, their dog's name is Lilar. No, but the people, I swear. And so that's my only other example of Kyler. So I swear to God, that's it. Okay.
She's been called a boy already.
We wanted a unisex name. It's fine.
Well, I mean, Avery's very happy that he has a unisex name, so you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gone to Sears all my life because that's unisex instead of Lisa.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks
Kendall's a unisex.
Yes, it is. Kendall Gill,
weird.
NBA player. What's up?
All right, that was good too. Damn it, we nailed it that time.
No, and then
gender. Of all people, getting the gender wrong.
No, I think you just keep it, and it's a great learning tool. It's fine.
It is a great learning tool, and how
so you talk about gender names, gender neutral, and all that. So
yeah, I
leave it.
That's true. We could just leave it like us talking right here,
No, I agree. We keep the learning tool, and we edit out the part where we're all embarrassed because that doesn't look good on me at all. So.
And he's really handsome, so you got to leave that out,
Handsome.
So, anyways.
So from what I have heard from Sears, you guys are in a very interesting situation that I don't think a regular heterosexual couple would have to go through.
Right.
Wait a minute. Before we jump into that,
okay.
You guys are married, correct?
Correct.
And how long have you been married now?
September 29th of 2018. So we're a year.
Couple years.
A year and a half.
Yeah, almost 2 years.
Yeah. And you've been together 3 or 4?
September of 2015.
5. Okay.
5 years.
Okay. And then you guys chose to have a baby, obviously.
Yep, absolutely. That was one of the big stipulations for both of us when we first started dating.
Definitely wanted a family.
Okay, now can you tell us about the problems you're having? I just wanted to do the backstory a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the lovely state of Indiana, depending on your hospital, and we went to St. Francis, even though it's, Catholic based, they were still amazing and very gracious. And it was something we were still, hesitant on, but ran into no problems whatsoever with, me being on the birth certificate. It still says father, which is always hysterical.
Which they had other forms that would say other parent, but they were out of them. And they were so apologetic that they didn't have these forms that Kendall would have to be listed as father. And to us, it wasn't that big of a deal. We knew a little bit about the situation, but it was just as long as she's on the birth certificate at that point, okay. But apparently they did have other forms that they just didn't have any at that time that would actually say other parent and not just father.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Ellen,
so Ellen, we just did, got a couple of vials of donor sperm. Ellen's fertile myrtle. I talked to her uterus every day leading up to the process and all that, and took on the first try, which is just rare in general.
Yeah.
For any person. So we got very lucky. We were very, very fortunate, not to spend money like other couples have. We've got some really close friends that have spent, over $10,000 and have finally been fortunate and lucky, and they will be having a little one here soon. But, so that was fun. Indiana Midwest Fertility Clinic up in Carmel was amazing. Dr. Will is the dude. He's awesome. And then we transferred to our OBGYN at St. Francis and had this lovely little stinker on New Year's Eve. So she'll be 6 months on Tuesday. And then, but the whole process, is you hear all different types of stories. Like we have neighbors right behind us who have 2 children. They're a same-sex couple. And she's heard, like you can't be on the birth certificate, or you don't need to adopt, or you do. And I mean, you could ask 10 different couples and they're all going to hear something different, most likely. So I did my research. I have a close friend who is a lawyer. And then I, asked him, and then they got me in touch with the Indian adoption lawyers. They're in Indy. And his basically conversation with me was, you don't necessarily legally have to in the state of Indiana until this awesome Supreme Court push that's going down right now. But it's one of those things, in any scenario, it's going to help close and shut that door on any possible issue that might arise in the future. I mean, you sign all these paperworks, that say, all the paperwork that says the donor is anonymous, they don't want any part, but there's lovely loopholes because our judicial system just sucks. And especially against, the gay community, I think it's at times there's been no precedent set, so it makes me nervous, that could always leave a door open or any little daylight, which always, if it's a good lawyer, they can get in there in certain ways. So we went ahead and decided, to move forward with that process for me to adopt her, just to be able to it be legal, no issues. I mean, you never would ever think, anything's going to ever happen to Ellen and I love her family with all my heart, and her vice versa. But if something were to happen to Ellen, I'm not legally, Kyler's mom. There's always some crappy person out there that could utilize that and, push and shove, and she might not even be able to go right away, to her grandparents. She might get put in the system because simply her mom is the only person on that birth certificate. And even though I'm her mom, and it could be when she's 12, it doesn't matter to Indiana. So we're shutting that door a little bit. And we're actually utilizing a family friend who's the lawyer here in Franklin, Indiana, who his wife and him have adopted their own children. So he's super passionate about it, and they're just awesome people.
So some of those kind of loopholes would be if I passed away. And then also the lawyer had mentioned, even though we did use an anonymous donor with sites like the 23andMe and all those DNA sites, if for some, if she got older and searched out the donor and was able to get in touch with the donor, there's just a giant loophole where he could potentially get rights to her. And he basically kind of gave us the impression, which I had heard before, is that you think the birth certificate is really powerful, but it's really not. It's just a piece of paper.
It's powerful in a heterosexual couple.
Yeah. So in our case, it really is just a piece of paper. It doesn't, if I pass away, it doesn't do anything to protect her. By Kendall adopting her, that's the protection that we needed, and that he suggested, just to, like Kendall said, shut the door on any possibility of something weird happening. There's no question that this is her daughter and it is legal. So that's why we're going forward with it before all of the Supreme Court happened.
I may be wrong on this, but a heterosexual couple, this woman's pregnant and baby daddy's not in the picture, and she starts dating a new guy, and he's in the delivery room with her, and they say, "Are you the father?" And he says, "Yes." They just put him on the birth certificate. Am I wrong?
No, that's correct. People I've had, it's my brother, but there's some, things that go down sometimes in relationships. And when it comes down to a legal battle, it's imperative and important for him as a father to have that paternity test, done and on the books to have that protection. But until there's someone fighting that, head on, it's recognized. So let's say, my brother's daughter's mom passes away. My brother's on that birth certificate. It is what it is. If no one wanted to blink an eye at it, it wouldn't matter.
That's what I'm saying. They just
Indiana, they'll blink an eye and they see 2 females on that birth certificate, and they'll be like, no.
That's what I'm saying. They'll let any heterosexual man on a birth certificate, whether he just met her on the street,
yeah,
or has that just. that's where it really blows my mind, because you guys are a loving married couple that didn't accidentally get pregnant.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
right.
You have to make the effort. And if not, I'm really confused, but I think you have to make an effort,
Right.
you know, as far as I'm aware. But I don't know. I just don't understand that.
Well, in Indiana too, if we weren't married, I wouldn't be able to just be on there either. They want to see that marriage certificate, and that be a thing. You know, I mean, and I'm sure it varies. I'm sure some hospitals they don't even care. But it's the same thing with marriage license, right? Depending on what county you're in and what hospital you go to or what clerk you go to get your marriage license.
Yeah, I was nervous about that, and we luckily haven't had any issues. But yeah, getting our marriage license, I was a nervous wreck. Going to the hospital, I was a nervous wreck. Thinking of hearing of all these things that happen to other people, and we've been really lucky and haven't had those experiences, but I know they happen.
Yeah. No, well, and I think that's why I've always like leaned towards like IU Health, just like, because that, like, you know, like you said, that Catholic background like would make me nervous too with St. Francis, you know.
Yep.
We
And
did
they
a
were
hospital tour and
awesome.
talked to like the head lady and just said, hey, you know, we
No,
have this concern.
it was no hey. I was like, listen, I have a serious question, and I need you to be honest with me. And it's not going to hurt my feelings. I'm not going to go like create an issue about it. But I want to know, is this going to be, you know, a double take at, or what will happen in this hospital when I walk in and say I'm her other mom?
Yeah.
I was like, because we'll go elsewhere. Like, it's fine. I'm not going to sit here, you know, and go create a big stir and like go to the news stations about it. Like,
Right.
whatever. But no, and she was just like, oh my gosh, no. Like at St. Francis, she said specifically they have been having within their trainings throughout their months or weeks or whatever trainings they have been having specific trainings for that purpose, and actually talking about it and being very inclusive, you know, and making sure that even as far as like being, you know, non-gen, like, and just be paying attention. Like, and I was just like, oh, so you're the good Catholics. You're the Catholics that like kind of get it. Like, you know, you're listening to the Pope, like rock on. Like, I love some St. Francis. And and I've been there for other things. My grandparents have been in the hospital for heart stuff, and their heart center is fantastic. And I just know like, it's just a great, you know, facility. And I was like, I don't want to go to Community South. Like, I know people have had birth there, and I've heard great experiences, but I was like, I want to be here at St. Francis.
Yeah.
And so we were just, I mean, it was awesome. It was really nice to hear that she was just like, no, we specifically have been learning and educating ourselves. Like,
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's where I was born. Well, not that one because mine's gone, but the St. Francis in Beech Grove, you know, that's where I was born. But, you know, I'm glad that they're really coming along with the times and educating their staff even about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
Taking
if
that
someone
effort.
looked at that, like, they would be like, okay, go elsewhere. Like, they wouldn't put up with, you know, it's not like they're giving them a choice. Like, hey, it is our religious views, you know, and our faith views. So it is what it is. Just be polite. Like, I think if someone was obviously being like being hateful, you know, or being inappropriate, I think they would be probably asked to go elsewhere.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, especially when you see like the rollbacks that have happened to like certain rights, especially like now, you know, they can technically have the right to say, I don't want to operate, or I don't want to be a part of this. And it's amazing to hear that a Catholic based hospital is genuinely promoting the opposite message. Like, no, we are here for the people. I love that.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly the feel we had. And all of our nurses, everyone, I never got a single feel. I mean, we had one grouchy one, but I don't think it was because of our, you know, our family. I think it's just because she was
Had like a long night. Yeah.
Right.
You just had a bad day, you know.
Yeah.
No, especially with what's going on in the Catholic school system and stuff, with them firing more and more people. I mean, it started with Shelley Fitzgerald, and it just kept going.
Well, now they're talking about keeping trans students out of schools.
That's what I mean. It's just, so it's good to hear a Catholic system is not necessarily all partaking in that not activity, but I guess activity, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, when your Pope says something and you choose not to follow, I feel like that says a lot about the people.
Oh yeah.
Not necessarily their religion. And I mean, that's a whole nother podcast. We want to talk about that. I mean, I know Sirius is not very very faith-based, and that's, you know, a term that my mom likes to use instead of saying religious is faith-based, because I think religious is a very sticky term and turns a lot of people away. So we're
Same
in the
thing with
process of
Christian.
finding a faith, you know, church, and there's Lutheran Resurrection Church near us, and like on their welcome page, they specifically call out and talk about inclusive to anyone, no matter their sexual orientation, gender, and everything like that. And it's just, and even in there, the admin lady's little email signature had her pronouns, which was really awesome and just inclusive in itself.
Wow.
That is so progressive.
So we can
Because
go on
a
for a
lot
story another day about religion.
Well, a lot of people don't do the pronoun thing, and for that to be on a church board member's email is just wow. That's like way above and beyond.
And like she comes in, like her signature, like it's admin of the, you know, the at Lutheran or what Resurrection, whatever the, you know, at is. So like it's like her work email for the church. So yeah.
Wow.
It was cool. I was just like, you alone just having that. That was my response. It is very exciting to see from a church. So, because I want to just talk to the pastor. You know, there's plenty of churches out there that say they love us, but they want us to repent still for our sin. And no, it's not.
Saying it and showing it are two different things.
100.
You know,
When you ask me to repent for being gay, that's not what I'm.
That's.
you almost make me want to drive all the way down there and go to your church.
Yeah, we haven't been yet. We might try to get on a little bit tomorrow and see how their service goes, but obviously COVID happened. But we baptized Tyler as in Lutheran back in March at Ellen's home church in Ohio. So
Right before COVID.
Oh,
yeah,
at least we got that in. That was nice, right?
Yeah.
Like, because that's something takes all that planning.
Yeah.
And if it happened any later, oh man.
Yeah, I mean, we were like a week from when everything shut down. It was pretty nuts.
Wow.
Yep.
So, okay, so now I was actually at the court case. One of my best friends, the friend for a long time, was one of the main couples that was fighting the first adoption with same-sex couples.
Mm-hmm.
And she actually is an officer, an IMPD officer. So it was even more important that she was on the birth certificate in case something happened with her being an officer and everything.
Right.
And it was her egg and another person, a friend's sperm, that they inseminated into her wife. So technically even, and she had to adopt her own child, technically her wife was basically a surrogate. Not really, but sort of, you know what I mean? It was her egg. So, but she still has to adopt her own child that way. And that just, to me, I don't get it. I just don't. But I was there at that court case.
The case that's going to the Supreme Court, they mentioned that a little bit, and like, because someone was like obviously in the court cases, like they were giving that example and battling it, and
well, it's just like little things like that I never even really thought of like legally, because like when we had to fill out the census, like Kendall couldn't claim that she lived with her daughter. She had to say she lived with a non-relative because it's not her biological child. And it's like,
and I haven't adopted her yet. So
like to us, to me, to everyone in our lives, like it's Kendall's mama. I'm mom and she's mama. But legally, she can't say it.
Yeah. So
she's a roommate.
Yeah, so on the census, it was my wife and my non-relative.
And I know that felt horrible for her. And so I'm so happy that next time that happens, we don't have to say that.
Oh, yeah. That's so weird.
Why?
Good.
They have to do a home study and everything for you guys, don't they? For you to adopt?
Yeah.
No?
They technically would. They're going to work on waiving that for us, which is, I don't think, uncommon.
I think it depends on a lot of times, the age, because she's so young.
Oh, I think it's the adoption, like the type of adoption.
And there's all sorts of different scenarios.
So it's not like we're fostering a kiddo from the system and trying to adopt them in some random home. I mean, obviously I am married to
there's just so many different scenarios, but hopefully we'll be fortunate enough and not have to do that. But I know that is typically a requirement, which would be weird. I mean, I'd be okay with it, obviously, since
like come on in, like you're not gonna see.
But it would feel kind of,
it'd be intrusive
strange.
for sure.
Yeah. It'd be like having like your whole lives just like dissected, and like that's not like anybody's business. I'm sorry.
Right. It's not like you're not doing that for any other Like my mom adopted my brothers or my half brothers. We have different moms. So, I mean, they say their birth mom, and then like our mom is their mom because she's been there most of their life.
I was adopted at birth. And my parents had to do a home study, had to do all sorts of stuff. And my mom said she lived in fear for years that like I was just going to be taken away. I mean, there's all sorts of craziness.
Yeah, it blows my mind though that heterosexual couples, like I said, any random guy, she's going into labor and her friend that she just met a week ago is like, I'll go with you. And she could choose to put him on the birth certificate. They never question a thing or anything.
It's really just a lady who comes by after the child is born and it's like, okay, what's their name? Who's going on the birth certificate? And then it's done in 2 minutes.
That's what I'm saying. But then you guys have to go and adopt your own child. And it's not something, like I said, you can't just accidentally get pregnant. Like the lady that picked up a guy to come in and be the dad, or something. It's just like, there is a malfunction there for sure.
Oh, and it's absolutely because we're a same-sex couple. Like people want to say like I've said, like technically if someone wanted to create a stink about it and fight that, my brother wasn't his daughter's kiddo and made him get a paternity test because they weren't married, like, okay, like they could probably go as far to do that and create a big, huge issue. But like, that's some digging and some intense stuff that would be able to cause that. Whereas someone could literally, something happened to Ellen and they'd be like, that she didn't have two moms. You're both not biologically her mom. And like, that's like, that could be it. If I don't adopt her, I don't have a paternity test I can take. I don't have a way to show that she's my blood child. Like, but she's my child. So that's just where it's messed up. And they try to always fight and say like, it's biological when they're taking this to the Supreme Court, which is what they're saying, not, the gender issue, which, come on, we all know we're all smarter than that. And we all understand that better being on this side of the road, I think, versus a heterosexual person who really doesn't maybe understand until you lay out all the facts to them. Like my dad has come a long ways. Like I came out, and he was like, he cried because my oldest brother is gay. So I think he had some internal demons to struggle with, and he's, figured that all out himself. And then I was like, okay, I'm getting married. And then he was like, oh God, like, and had to get okay with that. And like, has come so far in that sense. And in the process, I was like, I'm going to probably have some kids, Dad. And he was like, oh, sweet Lord. He's like, well, we're not going there. And now like, he can't even like, if he doesn't see her every day on the phone, like through FaceTime, he gets angry about it. But like he about blew his ever living gasket when I said, I was like, I'm adopting her. And he was like, why? And I was like, I have to, Dad. And like, not was he like mad that we were doing it. He was pissed the fact that I had to adopt my child. And I was just like, oh, my dad, like, look how
right?
Like you were so mad. Because he was like, she's your daughter. I don't get it. And I was just like, the fact that my dad, this country bumpkin, middle class white man, like can say like, this is stupid. You shouldn't have to adopt your own child, even though you didn't birth her.
I think it's kind of an example of, for a lot of the times, for everything, people have to put a face to it. So they hear about these things happening, but until he can picture us, or someone else can picture our family and like how we wanted a family, we want to have a loving home for this child, and they, you know what I mean, they just can't wrap their minds around it until they see a face, until they see a kid, and they're like, okay, that's a family right there. Mm-hmm. And here's a mom who has to adopt her own child. So
yeah, our neighbors around us have been, immersed a little bit. Lady across the street loves it. Like she asked some questions at first and kind of seemed a little ignorant, which she was, and we explained it, how it happened.
There are questions that they ask you too,
and she'll come up and see her every day, and she's always like, oh, how's the little one doing? Like she'll come ask, and she brought her over a little gift today, some clothes from her grandkid. And like our other neighbors are just awesome, like younger like couple, and they're just great people. But it's just been fun. Like they're not hateful, they just don't know. And I can respect that. Like I want to educate people. I'm not a hateful person. Like until you are, nasty and mean, and like there's finally that understanding, like, okay, you don't want to better yourself, then just like be done. But if like you can be cordial and like be educated and like learn and grow, like rock on.
Oh yeah.
Well, like Ellen said, though, I mean, we say this all the time. You've got to put a face to the monster.
Yeah.
And we say that all the time. And we also say with education comes acceptance.
Oh yeah.
So both of those things, I think, you know, are in play with your neighbors and stuff like that too, and your dad and those kind of people.
Okay.
So, and I think the more we're all out and proud, even though we didn't have Pride celebration this year, and the more we're out and able to talk to people and put a face to it and educate them, we're going to hopefully keep changing this place.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It doesn't do any good to be hateful and nasty about it. So it kills me when people are, because it's just like, how are you gonna get anywhere if, you know, you're
Oh yeah.
disgusted, even if you are tired, you know, like my brother and, you know, his group of friends, like they still are pretty loving and accepting and want to educate people, even though they've, you know, been through the ringer all the years. But some people their age are just so just tired and hateful about it, and I'm just like, you paved the way, like keep it going. Like, yeah, it's exhausting and I hate it, like that I've had a little bit easier of a road, but at the same time, like I am so grateful for my brother and like his people his age, because I wouldn't be able to be who I am today and I've had such an easier path had like that age group, you know. And like, I mean,
How
seriously,
old are
I lump
you?
you in with them, but
How old are you, Kendall?
how old am
I
I?
know I know you're not supposed to ask, but I don't care. How
30.
old are you?
32. 32.
How old is your fabulous brother?
43. 44. So
I
like
was thinking he was
there's like 12 years.
Yeah.
44. There's 12 years between us.
So you're
Yeah, he's younger than me, and you're right. You know, he is younger than me, and it was a lot of fighting.
Yeah. And I've always told him, you know, I'm so grateful, because I know he gets jealous. Like, you know, he didn't come out to our family forever. I mean, even whenever I straight up just asked him one day if he was gay over the phone, he said, yep, I'm at dinner. We'll talk about it later. And like our relationship became so much better because he could be himself around me, and, you know, it was okay. And like, I just straight up one day, I was like, like I just smacked me in the face, and I was like, whoa, I think I'm gay. And like, I just was like, I'm not hiding. Like, I saw my brother fight and deal with that, and I did not think it would be a service to him. It'd be a big disservice if I did the same thing. And I was like, no, like my brother and my family, you know, he fought, and in the world he's fought, and I was like, I'm not gonna sit here and be in the closet. I was like, I know, and there's adversity to that, and it is what it is, but I'm not gonna hide it. So
Oh yeah.
That's great.
I think like, and it's funny because I think that's like the best thing we reflect on in Pride Month is like what generations ahead of us have done to make it easier for us to come out.
Yep.
I mean, as a trans man, like I think about like, you know, everything else had to be okay first. So like, you know, it was like the gays and the lesbians, and then like the trans women of color and in New York, and all of that had to come first. And so people like your brother, people like Sears, like it's amazing really when you think about what we have now because of it.
yeah, absolutely. I will always be so grateful because of the generations before us, because when we had this cute older, I'm pretty sure that they were family, this older gay couple, that these gentlemen at our garage sale today, and they were just so stinking cute. And the second he talked and I mentioned something of my wife and my child, like he just lit up a little bit more and was just so much more interactive and chatty. And I was just like, just be you, honey. Like you're 60 something years old. Like just come on. Like, but I know like it's even more so that age. Those people still are, you know, still very closeted. One of Ellen's best friends whose wedding we were at, her grandma, her aunt hadn't come out in family, and she's in her 70s. And when Aaron came out, so they're getting married, that's when she came out, like just a couple years ago to their family, because she saw Aaron be like, I'm in love with the person and I'm getting married to her. And her aunt was just like, you gave, like, it was a reverse, like gave her the courage. And it was just, so I mean, both ways, you know, we can give both ways.
They all knew, but they just hadn't been said out loud. And then you know, they were so
Kind of like we talked about Secret Love, or what is that? The show, the documentary, Secret Love. Did you guys see that with the?
You haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, I want to.
I mean, they were really, really old and together for like, you know, before one died, like 67 years. Yeah. And they just got married in the nursing home, you know, and they had to come out late in life. And it's just like, I mean, I'm grateful to them who did Stonewall and all that, whereas you guys are more for us. And they paved the way for me to be able to do what I did and so on and so forth. So I can't even imagine what you guys are doing for our next generation.
Hey guys, it's Lisa with The Gays of Our Lives, and this week's episode is sponsored by my own CBD line through Denver CBD. It's actually the first one in town here that has vitamin D in it, and it's also helping with different causes. The strawberry flavor, 5% goes to cancer support community. The orange flavor, 5% goes to the National MS Society. Use my code LISA20 and get 20% off your order.
All right, so this next segment we do, it's a really simple, kind of quick segment we do to wrap up the show. It's basically 5 get-to-know-you questions. Some of them are really deep. Some of them are really funny. Some make people cry when they're asked to the wrong age group, but that's okay because we've learned.
Shut up, Dick.
We've learned. It's okay. All right, Sears, would you like to start? Would you like me to start?
Well, I'm going to ask the question that I made a little girl cry with.
Do it.
How's that? If you could have dinner with anybody, who would it be and why? And it's for each of you. You both have to answer.
Oh, dead or alive. Don't forget that part.
It can be dead or alive.
Oh. I mean, I could go like real serious and deep and say probably like my grandpa who's passed recently because I miss him. Mm-hmm. Or like go Gal Gadot because she's hot as hell and I would just not eat and keep working my figure just sitting across from her staring at her.
Very similar. I would go my grandma or Mariska Hargitay.
Oh, wow.
Very different.
Yeah. So you both definitely either had like a dream date in mind or like you really miss somebody. All right. So my personal favorite, for each of you to answer again, if you could have any superpower, known or unknown, what would it be and why?
Eat whatever I want and still look like have a like nice, like I'm not saying like skinny mini, but like just an athletic, like fit body.
Yeah. Okay. I dig that.
I would like to be able to transport to places because I hate sitting in traffic. And especially since having the baby, I feel like I'm always like rushing around doing everything. I'm just always behind schedule. So I would like to just like snap my fingers and be transported to wherever I want to be.
Oh my God, you'd have so much more time freed up parenting wise.
Right?
That's crazy. That's a good one. I've never heard it used as a parenting. That's the first time.
She hates car rides, so we could just avoid that whole issue.
Yeah.
Oh man, I've never heard of a baby that hates car rides.
Well, I think it's because we weren't going anywhere. Like, started when she was 3 months old. We didn't go anywhere at all.
Yeah, she's not.
And then all of a sudden, we went to go in the car, and she lost her mind, and we're like, "Oh, we probably should have been like practicing in the car a little bit."
Yeah, so we do that often.
Well, that's like
she's much better now.
I need to go to Lowe's. Let's go, everyone.
Yeah, she's much better now. But yeah, it caught us really off guard. We're like, why are you like losing your mind? Why are you so scared or whatever? And then we're like looking back, oh, we didn't really put her in the car seat.
Yeah. What a weird leftover from COVID.
I know, right?
Weird symptom.
She's also very active, so I think it's just, she can't roll around and kick her feet and all that stuff. But
Like
she'll get better. She gets older.
We'll blame it on COVID too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I hate being in my car seat, so I totally get that.
because of quarantine, my dogs always want to go. I'm not even gonna say the word because they'll go nuts, but because they were going everywhere with me.
Oh, do they want to go on a car ride?
Anyways, all right. My question, since it is Pride Month, and what is your favorite memory of all the Prides you've ever gone to? And I want each of yours.
I would mine's every year, but just getting to spend that quality time with my brother and be around with his friends, and just celebrate something that has us so deeply connected, more than just like being brother sister, but just all that. And my mom has frequented, so last Pride definitely was probably my top because my mom came up and was there for like the whole day.
Wow.
So it was
seeing it through her eyes was fun.
Yeah, like up front, right there outside of 45 as the parade's starting, like getting everything thrown at her, like, oh God, she was just in heaven. Like, and she's come up and volunteered back when we volunteered heavy selling tickets at the drink booths and stuff. But it was like she really truly got to like be more immersed rather than just being there to volunteer. Like she was in it and drinking, having a party with us and just so fun.
Wow.
For me, I think it was my very first one, which was, I'm from Ohio, so it was in Columbus, Ohio's Pride, and because I was straight until college, one of those stereotypical people, and just going to that and just like, I mean, that's a massive Pride, and going there and just like not really knowing what to expect and just being blown away by everything. I mean, I think my eyes were wide open, my mouth was hanging open the entire time, like I just had no idea. So I think that one just kind of will always stick with me just because it was so eye-opening.
I can't imagine somebody just coming out now in today's day and age and for going to a Pride for their first time like it is now. That has to be overwhelming. I mean, because when I first started going, it was itty bitty, and now, I mean, if I had just come out, if I was young and I just come out, or not even young, and go to Pride, that would probably be overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
yeah. No, I mean, because I feel like the
think
first time
about
I went
that.
was huge, and that blew my mind. Because when I started going, Indianapolis had just started doing family areas, and that was like that I had never added together before. Like, what you guys have did not occur to me when I was in my early 20s.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't exist as much.
Truth.
Yep.
I don't think. Anyways, okay, you got the last one, Aves?
Yes. So this is more of a challenge than it is a question, but I really like springing it on people. What is your best dad joke? And you can each have an answer. And you're two moms, so I know that's rough, but I feel like you have something. There has to be like a mom joke.
I was just say it could be a mom
Kendall's
joke.
got it. Kendall's got it.
Ellen, can you believe that they're still together after all the shit they've been through?
Who?
Your butt cheeks.
Been through.
Oh, that's good. That was.
And they did it together.
I pulled that on my dad the other day. We had a good one around the dinner table. It was awesome.
Oh my God, I love that.
I can't think of one.
Thank you guys so much. And hopefully everything goes well with the adoption and everything. We'll check back in with you, and maybe we can have you on, Kendall, and talk religion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
I'll come and talk religion.
Getting delayed because of COVID and everything, but we should know relatively soon the status of everything.
And we'd love to know to share on our page the results if that's not too
For
like.
sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And seriously, if you want, like my mom having two gay kiddos, being one of the most faith-based people I know my whole life. I mean, other than my grandma, but my mom would totally join us in that religious conversation and be a heterosexual person that's really found her faith which would be a good, I think, eye-opener.
That would be great.
I would love that.
That would be great. Yeah, that would be awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for asking us to. This was awesome.
We
were very
appreciate it.
My mom's excited to listen.
Well, if you guys want to be on our show, you can contact us at www.laughs.life.
Or you can always follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or Snapchat.
This has been Gays of Our Lives. Make sure to check out the Gays online at www.laughs.life.